Good afternoon everyone, I'm Gary Martin and today join us at Wortley Golf Club where I'm going to be showing you what I think is the best training aid I've ever come across for putting. It's one that I saw on Facebook. You know when you see something and straight away you think, I've got to have one of them. I've got to have one of them. I went across to their Instagram profile and it showed you demonstrations of people using it and it looked so good. It looked just what I needed for when I'm teaching newer golfers and higher handicap golfers how to putt. Because so many people are wrist it and use their hands too much and have a two lever system, and this really does get you feeling what a follow through in a putting stroke feels like. And I'm emphasizing follow through because I know a lot of people focus that much on the backstroke, they almost don't really pay much attention to the follow through. So that's why this training aid, what I'm going to show you today, is really good. And just give you a little bit of a background story to this company, because once I'd ordered it, I thought, you know what, once I'd tried it, I thought I want to do a video on this. So I contacted them and I spoke to, it's only run by 2 people. It's quite a new business and it was founded in lockdown by a chap called Bob, who was a low handicap golfer. And he had some time in his hands and he just thought, there's got to be something out there that can stop you, breaking your wrist and help, people learn how to put with a one lever system. And he's designed, obviously, something like this, obviously a prototype to this. And it weren't long before all his golfing friends wanted one. And it never started out, it didn't start as a business, but it's ended up a business where it's now sold 5,000 units. And the likes of Lee Westwood and some of the big golf pros or well-known golf pros have been seen using these on tour. So it's one that you probably won't be aware of yet, but you will be after this video. So today I brought one of our mid to handicappers in. Obviously my putting stroke's perfect, so I don't need this. But you've been struggling, haven't you, with your putting stroke?
Breaking, sometimes a wrist break and it wobbles then when it breaks.
Ever since I've known Rob, he's always been very handsy with his putter. You've always been very wristy, and from times, you've struggled with distance control. And that's because you've got a two lever system, when you're putting. And that's like a lot of mid to handicappers, Rob. You're not the only one with that, and that's what this training aid is perfect for. So let's have a look what we've got in here. I think that's the main sort of body, the Pro Stroke, which I'm going to just secure that to your putter. Now, Rob's got an Arcos system in his putter here, so although it does come with a T, you can't use that with your putter, so you've got to make sure you secure it well with this Velcro strap, which I have used already, and it does seem like it secures it really well. So we're going to have, once your face is obviously square here, this is going to rest on the side of your putter. I'm going to wrap that round and make sure that there's get as much tension as you can. So really stretch that round, and as you can see now, that is secure enough for us to get going with this. Right, so first things first, guys, we're going to have a look at Rob. This is quite a long putt, alright, this is probably 30 feet, so it's not an easy one. I want you to play 4 balls, do the best you can, and then let's compare, what happens. It's just going to be a complete experiment, this, Rob. I don't actually know what's going to happen. Right. But let's see what happens when we put that on. Okay. I've got an idea of what's going to happen, and I'll put that on the screen now. So if you play these 4 balls, actually not too bad a putt from this distance. I'm going to move the camera and show you his stroke from this side. Yeah, you ready?
Okay.
Quite a significant difference in distance there. Just in middle of them. So if you look at these, it's just such a big dispersion on distance, isn't it? I don't think your aim was that bad, Rob. I think you've actually, from where you were stood, there weren't that bad lines. You know, I think at the right weight they'd have all been within sort of about 5 or 6 feet on a long putt. Let's put the training on, let's see what happens. I'm not saying this training is going to make you a pro, Rob.
Right.
By no means just, you know, putting it on once it's going to make you a pro, but let's see what it does to your distance control. Right, so now you've got the training on, Rob, how does it actually feel? Just have a practice stroke without hitting a ball. Give me some feedback on how that feels.
It's a lot more stable without me actually trying to lock my arm, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right. Can you have a putt at number 5? Like I said, this is not going to be an instant success, but I've got an idea what's going to happen.
That with a bit out at toe.
That's fine. Because Rob's not using a second lever, I knew we were going to struggle for distance control here, but what you're going to see is probably a better pattern, a shot, a better dispersion of distance, because he's only got one lever in his system. And I think the proof's in the pudding here with that. So if you see that cluster of balls, Rob, although it's nowhere near the pin, you know, which is fine, you know, we're not claiming this is going to make you a pro straight away, but your cluster of balls, I see how close they are together, and that's just because you've used your shoulders. Now I'm going to give you a drill to use with this training aid that's going to make your distance control perfect, because you're not using 2 levers, you're just going to be using your shoulders, but I'm going to show you how to train yourself to get that weight right with just your shoulders.
That would think it felt a lot more, the strike felt a lot more consistent. I just couldn't seem to give it any...
What you're going to have to learn how to do, Rob, is take a longer backstroke. You're going to have to take a longer backstroke, a longer follow through for these longer putts, because you're not using your hands as much.
Yeah.
And that's something that's going to take some training, but we're going to use a ladder drill for that. Now, as you can see, we've set up a little bit of a ladder here, and this is to give Rob the confidence that when you get to your longer putts, Rob, you're able to take a longer backstroke and follow through, which that's something that I think if we'd have tried to do it from that 30-foot putt straight off, you would have been like, well, if I take it that long and that far through, it's going to go miles through the green, but it won't anymore because you're only using your shoulders. All right, so we're going to start from the beginning of the ladder, and as we move down the ladder, I want you to have that confidence to lengthen your backstroke and follow through. So what I always teach is that, and you were telling me before this, weren't you, that you've been sort of stopping, you've not been sort of swinging through the ball. So you've got to try to match your follow through to your backstroke. So if you're taking it back to sort of 7 o'clock on a clock face and you're striking it at 6 o'clock, it's got to move through to 5 o'clock. You know, if you're taking it back to 4 o'clock, it's got to move through. Sorry, if you're taking it back to 8 o'clock, it's got to move through to 4 o'clock. So you've got to try and match that follow through, and that's where, you know, you were getting it wrong, Rob. But I think if you tried to take that follow through with your wrists, it'd have just gone belting through green, wouldn't it? Yeah. So we're going to start off at the beginning of the ladder. Let's see what sort of results we get. Make sure your follow through matches your backstroke. And you might be thinking, well, when Rob takes this off, is it still going to work? I think it will, because I think this is going to give him the confidence to actually use a longer backstroke and follow through without his hands. Well done, that's perfect weight. A little bit shy. I think you're quite shy actually through the ball. I don't think you kind of accelerate through your putts at all. I think you've got your tempo is very matched through and through. I think you need to, you know, be a little bit more, whatever your backstroke is, a little bit more positive on the way through, a little bit more accelerating. Because remember, you're only using your shoulders, so you can do that. Do you want to play these last 2? And I think what this is good for, it's actually disassociating your hands from the technique.
Yeah.
You know, your hands are there to hold the golf club. This is what's, you know, that's the engine here across your shoulders. And I think once you get that training on, that's what really does give you the feeling of it.
It did made me aware of, because I know I wasn't breaking it, but it was all, the right hand was the one and it was just how much pressure I put on. Well, it's impossible to get that consistent.
Did you ever watch Moment of Truth? Can you remember that programme?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a moment of truth now where we're going to do the first putt again from down there, the 30-foot putt, without the training aid on, to see what happens to the results. I know you've not spent very long on it, but I still think the results will be much better now because you're going to be more confident to use that longer stroke and accelerate through the putt. And let's see if the cluster gets better without the training aid on. Obviously, Rob, you need to spend a lot more time using that training aid, and it will really sort of embed the right feelings for you. You know, it'll embed. It's too early to sort of think you've mastered it. These training aids are to be used in most of your practice. You know, that's where a lot of people get things wrong. You know, they don't use them consistently enough. So we're going to try that first putt again without the training aid on, and let's see what results we get. So just to show you he's not got the training aid on, show him your putter, Rob. Let's see what results we get. The moment of truth. Well done. That's actually you got there. And I know some of you guys might follow Chris Dennis, and I've seen him doing tutorials on putting where he talks a lot about, you know, the length of the backstroke when you're playing your longer putts and making sure you adjust it. There seems to be, Rob, a lot more consistency with the roll on the ball there. You know, the cluster, you've got it absolutely surrounded. Now, by no means it's perfect, but you're a mid-to handicapper, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, and your putting's not one of your main strengths. It's good, but it's not one of your main strengths. But that is so much better, that cluster there. And I think more time using this training aid, and you know, it's going to embed the right feelings for you. Just using your shoulders. I mean, that already looks better. How much better
thing
does
is,
that look?
Now that all I'm concentrating on now is the backswing and the follow through.
Yeah.
Which is easier to think about everything else.
Yeah.
Because before I was thinking keep that straight, and I wasn't even bothered with the backswing, so it was all the same, and then I was just forcing it through.
Yeah.
Whereas that seemed very.
That's exactly what this training is designed to do. You're so one piece with that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Looks so much better. So that's the Pro Stroke training aid. It's not a sponsored video, all right, but I have spoken to the guys, you know, and they've said if anybody did want one, they'll do a 10% discount with promotion code GAZ10, all right. So you're going to see this a lot more on my channel, maybe just on my bag for when I'm teaching, but actually for when I'm practicing and, you know, obviously warming up as well, because, you know, it really does just embed the right feelings, you know, of creating that pendulum stroke, which...
Don't tell Robbo that you're doing it, just turn up and beat him.
I know, that's what do you know what, a lot of subscribers are saying that, you know, because there's going to be some interesting videos coming. So I'm changing drivers at the minute, Rob, and I'm changing shafts, and I've really found something that works, but I'll tell you more about that next time. But yeah, thanks for Pro Stroke for you know, spending 5 minutes to have a little bit of a chat with me, and you know, I hope you do really well with that. I'm telling you, you know, I never ever, you know, you follow my channel from the beginning, I don't really promote much, do you know what I mean? I very much sit on fence with things, but if I really believe in something, I'll speak as loud as possible about it, and for me, that is probably the best putting training aid I've ever come across.
It is, for somebody that's not Brad Faxon, it's amazing how it makes you feel and what it makes you concentrate on.
I think you'll see a lot more of these in future on tour and on people's bags, and I'm hoping that it's the first time you've ever seen it, you know, on my channel.
Yeah.
Because I approached them and spoke to them because I really liked it, and they're not even at the level yet, I don't think, where they'd use any marketing. You know, it's just kind of word of mouth and handing them out to people on tour, and yeah, they're a new business, and it's going to be on my bag, and
good luck to them.
I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in a few days' time. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers, mate.